Excellent. Hey, so this is Lori Leyden here with my dear friend and mentor, Alan Davidson. I'm so excited to be joining with you today in this new way on Google Hangouts to share with you such important information and experiences I've had that have helped me so much in expanding Project Light and my work in Rwanda and my vision for global healing. So I'm excited, and I know from so many emails that you're excited to be on the call as well. I'd like to take a moment to tell you just a little bit about how the next 90 minutes will go. I'd like to introduce Alan, and we'll spend about 20 minutes chatting about how he developed Enlightened Tapping, what it is, what you're going to be experiencing on the call, and then we'll have at least a 40-minute dive experience into Enlightened Tapping. So welcome, welcome, welcome on this Miracle Friday. Thank you to each of you for being miracles in my day. I first met Alan back in 2011 at a mastermind that we attended with Nick Ortner, who you all know as a great sponsor of Project Light. And at that time, we were kicking off the Indiegogo campaign for our Project Light Rwanda documentary, which is now a reality. And if you haven't seen it yet, please contact me and I will send you the link to it. So Alan and I fell in love immediately. We have a heart connection that is profound, and I'm so grateful. And in 2013, he introduced me to Enlightened Tapping. And I have to say, as someone who is on the leading edge of the most elegant and graceful healing techniques, my experience was profound. And Alan and I might discuss that a little later about how that came in. Most recently, Alan and I had the privilege of using Enlightened Tapping with now another dear friend, Barbara Mark Hubbard, who many of you know as really the mother of evolutionary consciousness, and just a thought leader on the planet. And she had such a great experience with tapping. Alan, tell us, I was with you, but what was it like? What did she say to you, and what was it like for you to hear what Barbara Mark Hubbard had to say about Enlightened Tapping?
Well, one of the things I love about Enlightened Tapping is that it gives you a personal experience of these different facets of consciousness. And so, Lori and actually a small group of people had come together to film a 5-day training with Barbara Mark Hubbard, Mark Gaffney, and several of us from the Center for Integral Wisdom. And at the very end, the last day, I got to share my Enlightened Tapping process with all these amazing thought leaders.
And I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Alan, but we're getting some feedback that the audio, my audio, is not good. I'd like to just test that right now. Is the sound any better?
Oh, so is it my audio, your audio?
Getting some messages here that sounds distorted. Now you sound better. Very bad audio is what we're getting.
Okay.
You're clear. I'm not clear.
All right. I'm clear, but you're not clear. Okay.
Yeah. I just put my headphones in. Doesn't look like it's any better yet.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I apologize for that. Welcome to new technology, and we apologize. What this Google Hangout allows us to do is you can actually see and hear the tapping, which makes it a little bit different. So thank you. So I was just saying that we were together at Barbara Marx Hubbard's living room. She has written about evolutionary consciousness, and Homo co-creator is sort of her vision of where humanity's going in our development and our evolution. And so we did Enlightened tapping. And in that hour process, Lori was there. There were 5 of us tapping together. And so I'm seeing that someone's saying that I'm almost inaudible as well. So, and then some people are saying Alan's not clear. So Alan's better. Okay. Let me try this. Can someone just enter into the chat if this is a little better for you as far as being able to hear me? I'm just going to keep going there, Lori, and we'll see what
yes.
this out. I might just switch back to my my old headset and see if that helps. But we were working with Barbara Marx Hubbard, and she had been writing about Homo co-creator for years, 20 years. She's been working with this energy. And so thank you. A lot of people are saying loud and clear, you're better, Alan's okay for me. Thank you guys, I really appreciate that. Barbara Marx Hubbard had been writing about Homo co-creator for 20 years. But when we got to the tapping, and you'll have an experience of this yourself in a few minutes, I actually said, let me speak to that facet of you, that voice within you that is Homo co-creator. And we all shifted and we tapped, and Barbara and we started dialoguing and working with that facet of ourselves. And Barbara jumped up and said, oh my God, I've been writing about this for over 20 years. This is the first time I felt it from the inside out. So she actually had an experience of something that she'd been intellectually thinking of and writing of for so long, but had never really genuinely felt it as an aspect of her own being. Yes. And so that's the promise and possibility of what Enlightened tapping does. It takes these enlightened aspects of ourselves that are already always there, and you get to experience them yourself.
Well, and we both know how important that is to me and to you, to bring heart to conscious evolution. And that's why I'm bringing you to my supporters today. And I haven't even given them your bio. If that experience with Barbara is not enough, I'd love to tell you that Alan is the creator of Enlightened Tapping and the founder of ThroughYourBody.com. He's the author of Body Brilliance, Mastering Your 5 Vital Intelligences, the #1 best-selling health and wellness book, and winner of 2 National Book of the Year awards. Alan serves the Center of Integral Wisdom as a sitting board member, along with Ken Wilber, Mark Gaffney, Barbara Marx Hubbard, Sally Kempton, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Jack Canfield, John Gray, and a host of other world-class spiritual leaders. Alan has a BS with an emphasis on psychology, sociology, philosophy, and religion. He is fascinated with the intersection of bodywork, psychology, and spiritual practice. Alan has taught massage, meditation, energy medicine, movement, and human transformation since 1990. Along with 70 other world thought leaders, Alan is speaking at Harvard University on December 5th, 2015. Yay! Teaching meditation, sharing about the tipping point of human consciousness, and how enlightened entrepreneurs play an integral part in the evolution of humanity. Alan says, I fuel the tipping point of human consciousness. 3% of the world's population is dancing around enlightenment as a way of being, roughly the current population of Europe. As that number of enlightened people grows to 6% and 7%, the problems that plague humanity now will dramatically shift. as 10% of the world's population shifts into full enlightened consciousness, a tipping point of transformation will make life on Earth a very different experience for those who follow us. And as you know, my vision for how we will create global healing through Project Light is very much in alignment with you, Alan. So I'd like to just get right to enlightened tapping. And so can you tell us what you mean when you say enlightened tapping meditation is a fabulous marriage between East and West?
Well, Lori, what I'd love to say and share with your audience is that it's really a tremendously exciting time for transformation. The World Wide Web has made something possible that we have access to all the culture and history that's ever been and everything that's absolutely worldwide at our fingertips today. And so we can really re-experience and reevaluate all the history of spiritual development transformation. And when I talk about East meets West, particularly the enlightened tapping process, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, not only the great enlightened masters and spiritual masters that have gone before us, but in the West, the Enlightenment movement of Europe, and particularly the great psychologists, Carl Jung and Freud. And so this enlightened tapping process really combines the best of Western psychology and understanding of the self, and then combines it with the great mystical teachings of the East and the classic enlightenment of India or China or Japan, and brings them together. And what I absolutely love is the bridge between those two worlds is the human body. And that's one thing that the 7 billion people on the planet have in common is we all have a body. And it's through that body that we experience our highest awareness of truth and freedom and liberation. So thank you.
Absolutely. So what's the takeaway for us about East meets West meditation?
Well, I think that the takeaway, and certainly the part that's relevant to enlightened tapping, is in Western psychology, as we've looked at the idea of the personality or the self, we sort of have an idea that actually there's multiple selves. We have multiple parts. And, many people on this call will have heard of their inner critic, or they would have heard of their mother archetype or their father archetype, and how that expresses itself through them as anima and animus, as Jung would say. But it's the idea that we have multiple parts, and that with a little facilitation, which you're going to experience in about 20 minutes, that you can access the enlightened part of you that is already always there. Genpo Roshi, who is a Zen master, American Zen master, was the first one to really pose the question: if we have all these sub-personalities, can we talk to the parts that are already always there? And the answer is yes, absolutely yes. So we have multiple parts, and we can easily shift and access those parts that are amazing qualities of stillness, amazing parts of the Divine Mother and unconditional love, with really just a flash.
Beautiful. So, Alan, what do you mean when you say enlightened tapping is an evolutionary meditation?
Well, I like to think in terms of there's 3 layers of evolution here. There's an evolution in tapping, there's an evolution in meditation, and there's an evolution in enlightenment. And certainly, there's been a trend in the last few years. Back in sort of the original days, in Gary Craig days, tapping was really about healing trauma, or relieving pain and physical pain and working with the body. And then, people like yourself, Lori, Margaret Lynch, and Nick Ortner really started using tapping and looking at the positive qualities of how we can use them as affirmations and really tapping into the better parts of ourselves. And then with the evolutionary meditation, enlightened tapping, you're able to access parts of yourself that once in a previous time you'd have to sit in a monastery for years to meditate, to access those qualities of yourself. And now you can really do that within 20 or 30 minutes.
So it's so exciting. What's the evolutionary takeaway for our viewers today?
Well, I think the important takeaway, Lori, is that you don't have to go to a monastery. You don't have to go live on a mountaintop. That even in the midst of, owning a home and having a family or having a busy career, you can still take 30 or 40 minutes in a day and access your highest potential as a human being. Your DNA code, your soul purpose. You can access that and make all the enlightened voices of consciousness your allies to embodying that soul purpose through your entire day. And the voices of what I call the separate self that often keep us pulled back with toxic emotions or trauma or pain or that fear of isolation, over time, those voices actually become allies of our soul purpose as well in the healing process.
Well, and it's such a message of mine as well when people say, well, what could they possibly contribute to world healing, global healing? Because they're living their quote unquote ordinary individual lives. But as you and I know, each and every one of us contributes to global healing by finding that peace in our hearts and by finding our personal greatness and our oneness.
Right.
And so, you use this wonderful imagery for the enlightenment journey. Would you tell us more about the rainbow was in the butterfly before the caterpillar was born?
Doesn't that sound like a classic Taoist or Buddhist?
Yes.
Koan. It's like, what the hell does that mean? But what I mean, I love the metaphor of the caterpillar and the butterfly for our own human lives. In that, I believe that the way the world works right now, it seems to be we're born into a family, we're born into a culture, we're born into a world that is really interested in us just doing what we're told. Take on the programming of our families, do what our parents tell us, be good boys and girls, go to school, and we inherit this program. And the key is that we're living somebody else's biography. We're living a life that somebody else designed for us. And that in that process, when you hit about 30 to 40 years old, you start to go, I've been playing by the rules and I'm just not happy. And we go into what we could call a cocoon, and we shift from living somebody else's biography, and we actually break out of that cocoon and all of that lifetime of programming, and we start to live our autobiography. We start to live the life that we choose and that we design for ourselves, and we embrace our own inner power, our inner authority, our inner elegance, and we spread our wings as beautiful butterflies, unique, colorful, vibrant rainbow of color, and step into the world, and that's how we make a difference. So that programming was there in your soul when you chose this incarnation and with your parents and your life, but you have to go through that process of breaking free of the matrix and owning your authority and owning that mechanism within you, your own inner guidance that allows you to express that radiant color.
And is that the rainbow takeaway, expressing that radiant color?
Well, I would say yes. And, you sort of talked about, some people look at you and say, oh, Lori, you can go off to Rwanda and have an impact and work with the ambassadors. You can meet with people like Nick Ordner and Tony Robbins and Barbara Marx Hubbard. But, you read in my bio about the tipping point of consciousness. And the thing I want to say is that most people are at 3% of enlightenment in the world's population of 7 billion. But I love what David Hawkins talked about in his book, Power versus Force. And he talked about a vibrational map of human consciousness from 0 to 1,000. And that at 200, there's a map of you move from force and pain to one of courage and strength. And at 500, there's a vibration of love, and 700 is the vibration of enlightenment. So even if you're in your corner of the world with your career and with your family and with your own personal work, but if you're vibrating at 500 and just loving unconditionally what life brings you and doing your absolute best in your corner of the world, that presence that you bring to your own life ripples out to all of humanity and all of the universe. And that's an amazing gift that you bring. And everyone in your circle of influence, no matter how small it is or how big it is uplifted by that. And so don't underestimate the power that you as an individual have to leave an impact.
Well, and I've told my supporters for so long how important it has been to know that they are with me, that our hearts are connected when I go to Newtown and when I go to Rwanda, that I'm not by myself in this, and that they care enough and have a vision that's big enough that they can support this and be connected with it in their hearts. And as you know, one of the big work that I've done is doing deep dives into my own shadow in order to prepare myself to be present to the worst of human tragedies. And I know that work is important to you as well. So how do you use enlightened tapping to do shadow work?
Well, I think that's so important, but that's part of your story that I love so much, Lori, is, when you were given that inspiration or that mission to go to Rwanda, you knew intuitively that you needed to be able to look a murderer or a rapist or a killer or a machete wielding person who had wounded people in the eye and be able to be present with them heart to heart. And you had to clear your own heart to do that. And it takes incredible courage to do that, to be present to those parts of ourselves that could murder or could rape or could kill or who could wound brutally, physically, psychically, emotionally. And that's part of what this body of work that Enlightened Tapping stands on, from Carl Jung to the voice dialogue work of Helen Citrus Stone, to the work of Genpo Roshi. And it's how we claim the shadow parts of ourselves, those that are so painful and so violent, and how do we hold them and be present with them in a place of stillness and incredible compassion and love, so that those parts of ourselves become to transform from voices that are wounded and in defense and going into attack all the time, and how they can actually become to heal and come into wholeness themselves. And it takes that shadow work to be able to be willing to do that, to allow us to function at that rainbow level of consciousness that I talk about.
And so why is that important to our viewers today? How does that touch on each of our individual needs to do the shadow work and benefit from the shadow work?
Well, so some of the viewers today, they might be, they might have some sort of crippling doubt. I was talking about, it's okay for Lori to go to Rwanda. It's okay for Lori to meet with world leaders. There's no reason in the world that anybody listening to this call couldn't have that. But it's that crippling doubt that sort of runs your life, or any voice of self-sabotage. It can be, anger. It can be shame. It can be grief. It could be, jealousy, desire. Any of those primary emotional voices that keep hijacking and self-sabotaging us, you've got to work with those consciously and creatively if you're ever really going to show up for yourself and your family and your community. And Enlightened Tapping and many, many other kinds of shadow work, like the grace process, allow us to do that in a very gentle and loving and yet powerful and profound way.
Beautiful. Well, I'm so excited for people to have an experience. Are we ready for that?
Yeah, I'm just noticing in the chat here, Lori, that a couple of people actually said, could you turn your microphone down just a little bit?
And I have done that.
Okay.
I have done that.
Okay, great, great. Fabulous. Well, thank you.
But if we can get any more feedback before we move into the experience, that would be great.
Yeah. So if people would enter in the chat, how's the sound for you? How are you holding up? Because we're about to go into the demonstration, and we want you shifting with us. We want you tapping with us. This is a experience. I've done Google Hangouts with this, and people all over the world, you know, in a hangout in Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore, and all over Europe, and Hong Kong, and Canada, and Mexico, and South America, all over the States. And even though we're disconnected through the ethers in this way, and I'm working specifically with Lori, people all over the world have the experience, are able to shift into their enlightened selves. And that's the promise that we want for you. And that's the experience that we want for you. So we want to make sure that the sound is good and your experience is good so you can tap with us. Okay, so we're just hearing that I'm okay and that you're nearly twice as loud as I am. So I'm not sure what to say about that.
Okay, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
That's beautiful. To me.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, we'll play with this, and then there's Raina who's saying we're both fine for her. So what can we say? You know, technology. Okay, so there are a couple of rules, or you know, sort of that help you have the experience, and they're really short. There's like 5 of them, and it's when I ask to speak to a part of you, a voice that's a part of your consciousness. It's all you do is you shift in your chair. You actually move. It's sort of like that physical movement allows a tuning. It's like changing a channel on your on your television or your satellite dish. And in that shifting, the first voice we're going to speak to is the controller. And so imagine that in that shifting, all of a sudden, Lori is actually teased out and she's sitting in another chair. And sitting in this chair right here is the controller, that part of Lori that controls all of her life. Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, sort of, you know, shifting in your chair and imagining that who you are in your normal everyday life is sort of sitting in a chair close to you in the room, and you are the controller. Speak from the I place. I am the controller. I control what she thinks. I control what he does. I control the sensations through his body. I control her wig style for the day. You know, all the different things that you might control. Listen. I invite you to listen deeply. Now, Lori is going to be the representative for everybody on the process today. So I am going to invite you to share in the chat what you're sensing and experiencing. But Lori is basically the feedback loop, and she's representing you. And then we'll do some tapping. And it's in the tapping that we start to loosen up the hold of the controller and some of the other voices of the separate self that open the door and cross what I call that Grand Canyon of consciousness that allows you to easily access pure enlightenment. And we're going to go through the entire sequence in the next 40 minutes or so. And we'll be stopping and working with Lori, and we'll be stopping and interacting with you guys in the chat. So thank you. And there's the last thing is this is a process of deep listening. It's a process of reconnecting to your inner heart of hearts, your inner soul of souls. And so I do what I call deep listening. And we might shift into a voice a little later, and you may not know what the heck it means. And I invite you just to shift anyway and listen deeply within yourself and see what's revealed to you. and then listen to what other people are saying. Listen to what Lori's saying, and listen to what other people are saying in the chat. And go from there. Yeah, so, several people ask if I can turn my mic up, and it's up at 100%. So that's all I know to do right now. So, but thank you that. So that's it. So there's sort of the ground rules, and it's really simple. And then with the tapping, again, Lori will be the feedback loop for me. And then we'll open it up to the chat and see what you're sensing and you're feeling. So I invite you to play with this. It's an adventure, and just see what's possible for you. In about 30 minutes, you're going to be able to, about 99% of you on the call are going to be able to enter into an extraordinary aspect of yourself that you probably hadn't imagined yet. So Lori, you ready?
I am.
All right, great. Okay, so the first voice that I'm going to ask to speak to is the controller. So everybody shifting in your chairs and just imagining you're teasing that ordinary part of yourself out and sitting in a chair near you. And who am I speaking to?
I am the controller.
Okay, and what's your job?
My job is to control everything for Lori.
Yeah. And what are some of the things that you control for her?
Wow. What she says, what she does, what she eats, what she thinks, what she feels.
Yeah, what she thinks, what she feels, what she says, what she does, who she does it with. Wow. That's a lot right there.
It's a hard job.
Yeah, so we'll say more about that. It is a hard job. It's a lot of control.
Well, because, she likes to jump off cliffs all the time. And, I set up the structure, and then she tears it down.
Right. So you're sort of setting up the structure. And, as the controller, would you say part of your job is just to sort of keep her safe?
Definitely. I try. It's hard keeping up with her.
Yeah. So keep her safe, sort of keep her out of trouble. So you set up these structures. You use all these qualities of control just to keep her safe. And then here she goes jumping off the cliff. It's like, oh my God, we're going to Rwanda. Oh my God, we're going to go meet with Tony Robbins. Oh my God, we're going to set up, we're going to Newtown, and we're going to develop an entire new paradigm-changing way to deal with trauma.
And if she would just stay put, I could control everything, and she would be safe.
Yeah, right. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, if she would just listen to you, she would be safe.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me ask you this: are you, as the controller, are you aware of, my chiropractor says that we have 70,000 impulses, nervous impulses that go through our nervous system to the brain every second. And yet, as the controller, you're the one that sort of figures out which one she's going to pay attention to. And that there's that constant flow of emotion, that entire spectrum of emotion that's sort of going on at the unconscious level, and you sort of control which one she's going to focus on and notice through the day.
I have to constantly monitor all those impulses.
Right. And the thoughts. I know Jack Cornfield says that we have 70,000 thoughts a day. And unfortunately, it's the same 70,000 thoughts day after day after day. But, you're aware of the thoughts that go through her mind and the stories that she, likes to tell over and over. And so you sort of help control and keep her focused even at that mental level. Yeah. And this is a big job. Let me see, are you aware of this, that as the controller, you actually have some control over the other voices that are there in the psyche?
I sure try to.
That's a great important distinction. You try to. Sometimes some of those other voices can hijack the show, can't they?
Not if I can help it.
Not if you can help it. Excellent, excellent. Okay, great. All right. Well, so, just as a controller, sort of just take a moment and look into your body. And is there anything else that you notice or you sense about controlling?
It takes a lot of physical effort.
Right. So you're aware of how much energy you take in the body just to sort of do your job. Yeah.
Yes.
How about that part of you that might even try to control other people?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, yeah.
And that takes a lot of physical, mental, and emotional energy.
Right, right. And I know that Lori has worked a lot with sort of surrendering that part of herself, but there's still that sort of urge, when we see things that cause us pain or trouble us, we want to get in there and try to control them. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, well, thank you. So if you, as a controller, control the other voices, it would make sense to get your permission to actually speak to some of the other voices.
Okay, as long as I still have a say in that.
Well, you're reading my mind because I'm going to ask not only your permission to speak to the other voices, but actually 2 commitments from you. And one is that if I ask to speak to a voice that feels threatening or scary to you, that you actually just raise your hand and let me know, and we'll talk for a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you are in absolute control of this process and just opening those doors. And then the second commitment is that as best you can, when we are speaking to another voice, that you give me a crystal clear channel to that voice, best you can.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. So thank you. So I've got your permission and your 2 commitments there. So you ready to do a little tapping?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I just want to say for those listening at home, I use the short form that Nick Ortner uses in the Tapping Solution book. I will also say I do something a little different in that I tap on both sides of the body at the same time. This is a meditation, and so one of the great benefits is balancing right and left hemispheres of the brain and moving the energy of the brain from, beta to alpha and theta and even into delta states. So, it's totally up to you. You can watch what Lori and I do together, but you do what you're comfortable with. I'm not attached to how you tap, but I do invite you to at least shift from one side of the body to the other so that you're at least working on both hemispheres of the brain. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right. I'm the controller.
I'm the controller.
And I am in control.
And I am in control.
I control everything I can.
I control everything I can.
And I've had decades of practice.
And I've had decades of practice.
Years and years to hone my skills.
Years and years to hone my skills.
And I am good at what I do.
And I am good at what I do.
I'm the controller.
I'm the controller.
I control what he thinks.
I control what she thinks.
I control what she feels.
I control what she feels.
I control what she senses.
I control what she senses.
I control the flow of energy through her body.
I control the flow of energy through her body.
I am the controller.
I am the controller.
I control everything I can.
I control everything I can.
What she says.
What she says.
What he does.
What she does.
Her calendar.
Her calendar.
His commitments.
His commitments.
Everything I can.
Everything I can.
And I am really good at it.
And I'm really good at it.
I even try to control other people.
I even try to control other people.
Husbands.
Husbands.
Wives.
Wives.
Kids.
Kids.
Family.
Family.
Co-workers.
co-workers, friends,
even strangers.
Even strangers.
I have been known to try to control the weather on occasion.
I have been known to control the weather on occasion.
I love control.
I love control.
I am the controller.
I am the controller.
And I control all the other voices.
And I control all the other voices.
As best I can.
As best I can.
When they come out.
When they come out.
At what intensity they come out.
And what intensity they come out.
Or whether they see the light of day at all.
Or whether they see the light of day at all.
Now, sometimes I do get hijacked.
And sometimes I do get hijacked.
But I take back control as soon as I can.
But I take back control as soon as I can.
I am the controller.
I am the controller.
I give my permission to move forward today.
I give my permission to move forward today.
And I commit.
And I commit.
That if I'm concerned for the self in any way.
That if I'm concerned for the self in any way.
I will stop the process and raise my hand.
I will stop the process and raise my hand.
And I will give a crystal clear channel.
And I will give a crystal clear channel.
To all the other voices.
To all the other voices.
Keeping the voices still and quiet.
Keeping the voices still and quiet.
So that there's a crystal clear channel.
So that there's a crystal clear channel.
That's my job.
That's my job.
I am the controller.
I am the controller.
And I am in control.
And I am in control.
Take a breath. Shake that out. Everybody just taking a moment, taking a breath. Have a sip of water if you have one next to you. Look deep into yourself and just noticing, what do you sense? What do you feel? And for those of you at home, feel free to enter what you're sensing, what you're feeling into the chat. And Lori, when you're ready.
I'm feeling a little more relaxed. I feel open. And like it's safe to be open.
Okay, great. So a little more relaxed, a little more open, and that like it's safe to be open in this environment. Yeah, great. All right. Let's just see if anybody has anything to add here in the chat of how, as the controller, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? I know it takes a minute to update the chat sometimes. Okay. I feel more peaceful. Joanne and Rick both say that. I like giving my controller attention. Yeah, Nancy, that's a wonderful point, actually. Carol, I feel safe. Let me ask you, Lori, as the controller, what does the self think about you?
Well, she fights me. She fights me, and she actually it confuses her sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've got your agenda and she's got hers, and so she gets confused. Would you say a lot of your work goes on sort of behind the curtain? That she might not be conscious of how hard you're working.
Very much so. Very much so. A lot of this is unconscious to her.
Yeah. There was a study at Duke University that said at least 60 to 64% of our choices every day are completely unconscious. So now let me ask you, when's the last time you got a vacation?
The controller, Well, maybe when she meditates, which is a few minutes every day. But that's kind of it.
Right. So pretty much 24/7, except for those blissful times when she's in deep meditation.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, great, great.
Robin, can you address Robin?
Yeah, sure. Okay, great. Yeah. So Nancy, that's acknowledging the controller. So much of the tremendous work the controller does for us goes unnoticed. So yeah, the controller does works 24/7. Very little time off, very little vacation. So um, it's nice to start to tease out some of these voices and speak to them. So Rick, that you've asked a really good question. Are we speaking to another aspect of mind or to the higher self? And the controller is definitely a function of what I call the separate self or the lower self, which is usually very competent and we wouldn't be able to get through the day without the controller, as far as getting to work, achieving our goals, making reservations, to travel. The controller helps us do a tremendous amount. And we're going to shift in probably about 10 more minutes to definitely a voice of the higher self. And I think you'll sense in your own body and your own awareness the distinction between what we're doing now with the controller. And now, Robin, you have also said, I feel more open but a little anxious. Could you enter into the chat just a little? Where are you feeling anxious in your body? And is there a thought that goes with that level of anxiety? If you could enter that into the chat for us, that'd be great. A lot of times when we first start to work with the voices of the separate self, a lot of them are fueled by anxiety. A lot of their jobs are good. And when we start to really relax with them, we can see that sort of level of energy and anxiety that's sort of behind the curtain so much of the time that drives a lot of our thinking and choices and our feelings. But we don't notice it because we're just sort of, at the beta level of our mind, thinking, doing, going. So sometimes that relaxation can definitely. Is the controller our ego? Joanne, that's a great question. It's a function of our ego. The ego is really what I call a chorus or a collection of voices, and the controller, the protector, the skeptic, the wounded self, the innocent and vulnerable child, those all are aspects of our ego. And so it's an important piece of my Genpo Roshi, the Zen master I talked about. If you've ever seen beautiful pictures, or if you ever had the chance to go to Asia and see any of the great temples in Asia, you see that at the front door of all the temples, there's two lions, or what they call food dogs. And Genpo always said that the controller and the protector are those food dogs that are protecting the self, protecting the ego and the psyche. And I love that image.
We have a question from Gail, who's raised her hand in the room.
Let's see. I see a request. Yes, let me see that. Okay, I can see Gail. I can't see her question. What?
It's she has her hand up, so we have the opportunity to invite her to speak or message, I believe.
Oh, I see. Okay, so Gail, I definitely we're still in the demonstration here, so we're about to move. So I'd really like to hold questions, and we're not going to really do bring people on live, but you can enter in the chat box. So if you're comfortable, if you just enter your question there, that'd be great. So Rob was just saying that her controller protects everyone, what she calls her minions. So the minions are not sure what's going to happen. Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful facet. So the control and the protector work to keep that status quo and to keep you safe, a sort of cocoon in your your life. And what I like to say is, in a few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to some voices of the higher self that actually help the controller do his or her job even better. So are you open to meeting some of these higher voices and like voices that actually help you as a controller function better? So just see that. And Darlene said, I feel very defensive and angry. And Darlene, I want you to really be present and honor those emotions and those thoughts that are coming up, because most of us in our life, particularly if we've had any kind of deep trauma, we have layers of protection. So I just really say honor those feelings, and see, even with being wary and being defensive and being angry, that is the controller willing to still let you move forward, to maybe experience other parts of yourself that can help you hold and work skillfully with this wariness and defensiveness and this anger. So just see if there's a possibility the controller is willing to let you shift and move forward. So, okay, and Robin says, yes, most definitely. She's open to shifting and meeting some allies that will help her do her job better. So, one of the things that I love about this work is that it's about owning and welcoming and respecting every part of you, even the ones that have sort of kept you stuck in pain and anxiety or worry or whatever. They've only been working to keep you safe and secure in the ways that they know how. But as I said, we're about to introduce you to some allies that can really help your skill set manage these different emotions. Okay, Darlene, yes, she's curious. So that's beautiful, beautiful. So just hold that possibility there. Okay, great. Well, I think it's time to shift to another voice. Lori, how about you?
Yes.
Okay, great. So everybody, I'm going to ask you to shift to the next voice. And let me speak to the one who seeks the way. And shifting in your chairs. And who am I speaking to?
The one who seeks the way.
And what is your job? What are you seeking?
I'm seeking the way forward.
Okay. The way forward.
The path. Lori's path.
Lori's path. Okay, beautiful. What else are you seeking?
The answers.
The answers. All right. The answers to what?
Everything.
Everything. You want it all. You're seeking it all. Okay, great, great. All right. So where are some of the places in life that you've looked, that you've sought for the truth and sought for everything?
Various religious paths, many spiritual teachers, self-help tools and practices, other teachers, books, meditations, diets, exercises, and like that there.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. And I can say I've used all of those and then some, too. So, so let me ask you this. So, one that seeks the way. So I know part of your job is to, really sort of keep her pointed on that sort of spiritual and personal development. But isn't there a part of you that's still looking for sort of that ultimate joy and satisfaction and happiness?
Absolutely. And I believe that is one of the most important ways.
Yeah, beautiful. And also I know that, isn't there that part of you that sort of still wants that companionship, and love of another person to help you find that ultimate freedom and liberation?
Absolutely. Personal collaborations and professional collaborations, romantic collaborations.
Great, great. And let's not forget chocolate while we're at it.
True.
Okay. So, but the idea is that you're seeking. You're really looking. You've looked under a lot of stones at this point, looking for truth and freedom and enlightenment and intimacy and deep connection and what's behind the mystery, what's behind the veils. So you're really sophisticated. So as the one who seeks the way, wouldn't you say that the self has really gotten a lot of benefits from the job you do for her?
Well, it definitely keeps her on purpose.
Yeah, keeps her on purpose. She's had some pretty amazing adventures because of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and gets to hang out with some extraordinary people because of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you really serve her in a lot of ways. Beautiful. So let me ask you this: if it's your job to seek the way, do you find it?
I know we will never find the answer. We will find many answers.
Okay. So talk to me, when you find an answer, as the one who seeks the way, how long does it last?
Until the next question comes up.
It's like, oh, I found the way. Next. Yeah. So there's that real sense of I'm seeking. It's my job to seek. It's almost, would you say it's another voice's job to find?
Yeah. Actually, I make sure that she keeps asking the questions and keeps seeking so she doesn't get stuck.
Right. So it's part of your job. One of the ways that you help keep her growing and evolving and even help to keep her safe is to help her looking, and really not be stuck. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, great. But I want you to really just explore that distinction. It's somebody else's job to find the truth, and it's your job to keep asking those questions, keep turning over those stones. Can you have that? Can you sense how much energy you have in the body?
It takes up a lot of energy, as this is one of the ways that Lori moves forward, and so we have a very close collaboration.
Yeah. You're a prominent voice in her personality, and a beautiful voice, I might say.
Well, I almost have to tell her to slow down and sit with the questions sometimes.
Right. She does tend to get a little busy, I've noticed.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so everybody, you ready to do some tapping?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Tapping. I am the one who seeks the way.
I am the one who seeks the way.
I am seeking.
I am seeking.
I have been seeking for years.
I've been seeking for years.
Seeking truth.
Seeking truth.
Seeking wisdom.
Seeking wisdom.
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
And I have looked in many a corner.
And I have looked in many a corner.
Spiritual traditions.
Spiritual traditions.
Spiritual teachers.
Spiritual teachers.
Looking, seeking, and looking.
Looking, seeking, and looking.
Psychology.
Psychology.
Spirituality.
Spirituality.
Books.
Books.
My bookshelves are aching under the weight of all the books I've read.
My bookshelves are aching under the weight of all the books I've read.
And I'm still seeking.
And I'm still seeking.
Oh, all the different things I've studied.
All the different things I've studied.
Healing techniques.
Healing techniques.
Personal development.
Personal development.
Human potential.
Human potential.
Body work.
Body work.
Mind work.
Mind work.
Heart work.
Heart work.
Years and years of seeking and studying.
Years and years of seeking and studying.
All the things I've done.
All the things I've done.
And the self gets so much from my work.
And the self gets so much from my work.
Look at all the great adventures we've had.
Look at all the great adventures we've had.
The groovy people we get to meet on the way.
The groovy people we get to meet on the way.
The extraordinary inner experiences we've had.
Extraordinary inner experiences we've had.
Seeking, seeking, seeking.
Seeking, seeking, seeking.
Now, finding seems to be fleeting at best.
Now, finding seems to be fleeting at best.
I might have flashes of the great way.
I might have flashes of the great way.
But then I'm off with the next question.
But then I'm off with the next question.
The next desire.
The next desire.
It's my job to ask the questions.
It's my job to ask the questions.
Somebody else's job to find the answers.
Somebody else's job to find the answers.
I am seeking, seeking, seeking.
I'm seeking, seeking, seeking.
And I love my job.
And I love my job.
It's a great way to keep the self safe.
It's a great way to keep the self safe.
A moving target's hard to hit.
A moving target's hard to hit.
And so I am seeking, seeking, seeking.
So I am seeking, seeking, seeking.
I am the one who seeks the way.
I am the one who seeks the way.
And take a breath, and shake that out. Have a sip of water. And just take a moment and look into yourself. For those listening around the world, you can enter into the chat. What are you sensing? What are you feeling as the one who seeks the way?
I'm feeling more energized. The one who seeks the way has a lot of freedom. A lot of freedom.
She's a globetrotter.
Yes. She lets Lori jump off the cliffs.
She's sort of one nudging. So how about this one? Oh, here's a nice cliff. Let's try this. Right. Oh, I love what Ria said. My seeker's an addict that can never get enough. It is, that voice is insatiable. It's like there's never enough time, never enough reading, and never enough teaching, enough seminars or workshops. Joanne's exciting. Darlene's doing a happy dance, heard and appreciated. Feeling a wee bit empty. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. The one who seeks the way is tired. That's a really great point. I mean, all that seeking. I mean, yeah, I can feel energized, but it gets a little weary sometimes. Okay, Joanne says, I feel a little frustrated as the one who seeks the way feels thwarted. As I get close, my controller pulls me back. Absolutely. So, we might feel like, oh, we're getting close to the answer, or we're going to get close to a real experience, and the controller's like, hey, let's not get too carried away here. That could be a little dangerous. So, yeah. And Robin's like, yeah.
Well, and this is the beauty of this process, Alan, is each person and each voice has such a uniqueness to the individual.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, Okay, Patricia is like desiring to reach a rest stop and apply it all. And that is the perfect place, segue, for the next voice, actually. So I want you to imagine that, we've been working with this sort of voices of the separate self, and that there's this grand canyon of consciousness to the enlightened voices. And, remembering that in the ancient times, people would sit in a monastery for years before they might have what was called a Satori experience or an enlightened experience. And I'm going to invite you right now to cross that Grand Canyon of consciousness with us and shift. So please allow me to speak to the stillness of pure being and shifting. All right, great. Everyone shifting in your chairs, sitting upright, and now tap with me. I am the stillness of pure being.
I am the stillness of pure being.
I am the exquisite stillness at the root of all things.
I am the exquisite stillness at the root of all things.
I am beyond the beyond.
I am beyond the beyond.
I am beyond the Alpha and the Omega.
I am beyond the Alpha and the Omega.
I am beyond all beginnings and all endings.
I am beyond all beginnings and all endings.
I am beyond all birth, and I am beyond death.
I am beyond all birth and beyond all death.
I am beyond the beyond.
I am beyond the beyond.
I am vast spaciousness.
I am vast spaciousness.
I am eternal emptiness.
I am eternal emptiness.
I am infinite nothingness.
I am infinite nothingness.
I am the stillness at the heart of all the twirling universes.
I am the stillness at the heart of all the twirling universes.
I am the field of pure potentiality.
I am the field of pure potentiality.
Exquisite stillness.
Exquisite stillness.
Exquisite silence.
Exquisite silence.
I am the great paradox.
I am the great paradox.
I am the unborn Buddha mind.
I am the unborn Buddha mind.
I am God mind.
I am God mind.
I am the overmind.
I am the overmind.
I am the intelligence that weaves universes.
I am the intelligence that weaves universes.
I am the impulse that spins universes on their axis.
I am the impulse that spins universes on their axis.
Creating galaxies.
Creating galaxies.
Stars.
Stars.
Solar systems.
Solar systems.
Worlds.
Worlds.
Bodies and beings.
Bodies and beings.
All things arise within me.
All things arise within me.
And all things dissolve into my nothingness.
And all things dissolve into my nothingness.
And I am eternally present.
I am eternally present.
The witness.
The witness.
Watching all things rise.
Watching all things rise.
Watching all things collapse.
Watching all things collapse.
Nothing disturbs my stillness.
Nothing disturbs my stillness.
I am the stillness of pure being.
I am the stillness of pure being.
I am beyond the separate self.
I am beyond the separate self.
I transcend the body.
I transcend the body.
I transcend the heart.
I transcend the heart.
I transcend the mind.
I transcend the mind.
I transcend the being.
I transcend the being.
I am the impersonal self.
I am universal self.
I am the cosmic self.
I am the cosmic self.
Beyond the beyond.
beyond the beyond,
relaxing in every breath
relaxing in every breath
into infinite nothingness.
into infinite nothingness.
I am the stillness of pure being.
I am the stillness of pure being.
And take a breath and shake that out, everybody. Just allow yourself to sit back, sitting upright, and just take a breath. And just notice with the rising of each breath, there is a pause. And with the falling of each breath, there is pause. And just notice in the pauses of each breath, the breath itself opens and opens into infinite stillness. And then as your mind comes to any border or boundary, they collapse and relax and open to vast spaciousness. Just take a moment just to be in this energy. And what are you sensing? Letting this high vibration of this voice just resonate through your entire being. Letting the sacred words of this voice resonate through your entire being.
As the stillness of pure being, I am always with you.
Always here.
I am the source of your renewal,
Be still.
the source of your peace.
The source of peace, the source of renewal. Beautiful. For those of you around the world, if you want to enter something into the chat about what you're sensing, what you're feeling, and how this high vibration is moving through your whole internal being, moving beyond internal, beyond external. What else do you sense, Lori? What else do you notice?
In that stillness is where I can begin the external expansion and trust the arisings and the collapsings. Trust the infinite of possibility.
Beautiful, beautiful. Trust. You really feel
It makes the controller nervous that I'm going to jump off on another cliff, though.
It's all right. It's all right. So I actually promised that you could, and we're going to meet some voices that could help the controller do a job better. So I promised. I didn't forget that. And you really sort of sense that. Oh, I Ann, I am the source of not needing to know. Rick says, brilliant. What an amazing tool. I felt me. I am me. Well, in the classic Enlightenment tradition, they call this your true self. We have a whole another couple of layers to add to this. So, evolution of enlightenment here. So, beautiful, beautiful. Just a couple more things from the chat if you want. I know it's very hard to pull yourself back and say, like, oh, make words, type words. But we're going to actually kick it up to the next level in just a minute. So we've got a couple of more exciting rounds of enlightenment to cover from here. So the beauty is usually it's in, okay, we can access the voice, but then we can really sit in it and let it really, permeate our being. Joanne says, I felt tingling. I feel like flying into the void, the nothingness. It's one of the most delicious sensations in my life is to be able to just completely relax into and feel my whole being moving into infinity, into nothingness. So beautiful. All right. Well, if we were at a retreat, we'd spend, an hour sitting in this voice and just let it just, ricochet and expand and relax. So beautiful. But we don't have the luxury of being in a 5-day or 7-day retreat. We've got a 90-minute demonstration here. So, Laura, you ready to kick it to the next level?
I am.
Okay, and I know you're going to love this one. So I'm going to ask to speak to a facet of the Divine Mother. Can I speak to the grace of unconditional love, please?
Mm-hmm.
And who am I speaking with?
I am the grace of unconditional love.
Okay, and tap with me. I am the grace of unconditional love.
I am the grace of unconditional love.
I am the Divine Mother.
I am the Divine Mother.
In all my loving.
In all my loving.
I am mercy.
I am mercy.
Kindness.
Kindness.
Grace.
Grace.
I am unconditional love.
I am unconditional love.
I am unconditional acceptance.
I am unconditional acceptance.
I too am beyond the beyond.
I too am beyond the beyond.
I am infinite nothingness.
I am infinite nothingness.
Vast spaciousness.
Vast spaciousness.
Eternal emptiness.
Eternal emptiness.
And I give birth to all things.
And I give birth to all things.
It's my unconditional love.
It's my unconditional love.
That turns energy into matter.
That turns energy into matter.
I give birth to the 5 elements.
I give birth to the 5 elements.
Earth.
Earth.
Water.
Water.
Fire.
Fire.
Air.
Air.
Ether.
Ether.
I give birth to time and space.
I give birth to time and space.
Past, present, and future.
Past, present, and future.
I give birth to the 10 directions.
I give birth to the 10 directions.
Heaven and earth.
Heaven and earth.
The 4 cardinal points.
The 4 cardinal points.
And all directions in between.
And all directions in between.
I turn energy into reality.
I turn energy into reality.
I give birth to the universes.
I give birth to the universes.
The universes themselves are my body.
The universes themselves are my body.
And the heart of my unconditional loving.
And the heart of my unconditional loving.
Are the hearts of all the universes.
are the hearts of all the universes,
and the hearts of all conscious beings.
and the hearts of all conscious beings.
They are connected through my sacred song,
They are connected through my sacred song,
the great Om,
the great Om,
that sings in every corner of the universe.
that sings in every corner of the universe.
I hold all conscious beings with my love and my heart.
I hold all conscious beings with my love and my heart,
No matter where they are in the spectrum of
no matter where they are in the spectrum of difficulty.
the voices and parts of the self that are still in pain and wounded.
The voices and the parts of self that are still in pain,
That are still wounded.
that are still wounded.
Those conscious beings that are still pirates, thugs, and bullies.
Those unconscious beings that are still bullies and thugs and pirates,
and that are still in attack mode. I hold them equally in my unconditional love.
I hold them equally in my unconditional love,
as I do my sacred saints.
As I do my sacred saints.
It is through my unconditional loving.
It is through my unconditional loving.
It is through my grace.
It is through my grace
that all consciousness becomes whole.
That all consciousness becomes whole.
I am the Divine Mother.
I am the Divine Mother.
I am the grace of unconditional love.
I am the grace of unconditional love.
Intimate with all things.
Intimate with all things.
And intimate with nothing.
And intimate with nothing.
That's my paradox.
That's my paradox.
I am the grace of unconditional love.
I am the grace of unconditional love.
And shake that out. Take a breath. Have a sip of water. What do you notice? What do you sense?
The absolute safety and infinite ability to love all that is.
Really just sense your heart center.
It's as if my heart is within a universe unto itself and connected to all other universes, one and the same, no distinction, that infinity circuit.
Part of the grace process.
Mm-hmm.
Infinity. Beautiful. For those of you around the world, if you want to enter something into the chat about what you're sensing, it's the grace of unconditional love. Now, from your perspective, what are some of the distinctions you notice from the stillness of pure being versus the grace of unconditional love?
It feels like the stillness is the platform, the foundation. For the energy of unconditional love. It's the womb from which unconditional love can arise.
Can you sense sort of how you and the stillness of pure being are that dance of sort of the Tao, the yin and the yang, foundation of awareness, and yet the loving of the mother, the balance and the play of how you give birth to everything.
It is the essence of divine feminine to receive that stillness, to be a container for that stillness.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. Joanne says, I'm sensing acceptance of others and acceptance of love of me. And that's beautiful. I mean, this voice is so powerful and profound. It's where we find that unconditional love for ourselves. It's where we begin to remother and reparent ourselves. And by doing that, we gain acceptance and love for everyone else around us, no matter where they are in their own development. Beautiful. Anybody else? Joanne says, I sense a field of beings of light, all connected, all one. Absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite words for this voice is luminous. That all of creation is luminous with the light of the Divine Mother, and luminous with her unconditional love. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Darlene says, I am diffuse, peace, and calm. Really lovely, lovely. Okay, we've just got a few more minutes in our demonstration here. Our 90 minutes is approaching fast, so I'm going to actually kick it up to one more level. So I want you to really think in terms of, we worked with some of the voices of the separate self, and then we've been working with two of the enlightened voices. And so imagine those are now the foundation of a pyramid. And now we're going to go to the peak of the pyramid, the apex of consciousness. And that apex actually transcends and includes everything from the separate self and everything from the enlightened self, and brings them and really integrates them together. So you ready to do some tapping, my dear?
Yes.
Okay, let's tap. Please let me speak to, let's call it the rainbow unique self. How about that? And who am I speaking to?
I am the rainbow unique self.
Okay, and let's tap. I am the rainbow unique self.
I am the rainbow unique self.
I transcend, include, and integrate
I transcend, include, and integrate
all aspects of consciousness.
all aspects of consciousness.
The 10,000 voices of the separate self.
The 10,000 voices of the separate self.
No matter where they are in their development.
No matter where they are in their development.
Still locked in the dungeon.
Still locked in the dungeon.
Some kicked to the basement.
Some kicked to the basement.
Some working very immature and covertly.
Some working very immature and covertly.
And some quite competent and helpful.
And some quite competent and helpful.
And even those that are wise and approaching their own enlightenment.
And even those that are wise and approaching their own enlightenment.
I completely hold them with respect and love and appreciation.
I completely hold them with respect, love, and appreciation.
And help them as they skillfully grow and mature.
And help them as they skillfully grow and mature.
I transcend and include and integrate
I transcend, include, and integrate
all of the enlightened voices.
all the enlightened voices.
Stillness of pure being.
Stillness of pure being.
The grace of unconditional love.
The grace of unconditional love.
Divine Father.
Divine Father.
Divine Mother.
Divine Mother.
Big heart.
Big heart.
Big mind.
Big mind.
The sword of compassion.
The sword of compassion.
The warrior priestess.
The warrior priestess.
The witness.
The witness.
Non-attachment.
non-attachment.
I completely transcend and integrate them.
I completely transcend and integrate them.
I am the unique self.
I am the unique self.
Fully embodied.
Fully embodied.
Fully engaged.
Fully engaged.
Fully present.
Fully present.
I am the rainbow unique self.
I am the rainbow unique self.
I am living my soul purpose.
I am living my soul purpose.
And express it with every breath and gesture.
And express it with every breath and gesture.
What a joy and delight.
What a joy and delight.
To be me.
To be me.
To express my true unique self.
To express my true unique self.
Free in the world.
Free in the world.
All of my chakras.
All of my chakras.
The entire spectrum of light.
The entire spectrum of light.
From infrared to ultraviolet.
From infrared to ultraviolet.
Radiating with exquisite color.
Radiating with exquisite color.
Light, sound, and texture.
Light, sound, and texture.
I weave tapestries of attention.
I weave tapestries of attention.
Of health and vitality.
Of health and vitality.
Each breath and each day.
Each breath and each day.
Embodying great health.
Embodying great health.
I weave tapestries of deep intimacy.
I weave tapestries of deep and listening.
Unconditional love for all beings.
Unconditional love for all beings.
Radical honesty.
Radical honesty.
Deep listening.
Deep listening.
I weave tapestries of wealth.
I weave tapestries of wealth.
Career, work, and service.
Career, work, and service.
In service to the highest universal good.
In service to the highest universal good.
Creating multiple streams of wealth.
Creating multiple streams of wealth.
Which I offer in service to the highest universal good.
Which I offer in service to the highest universal good.
I spread my rainbow wings.
I spread my rainbow wings.
Illuminating light.
Illuminating light.
Co-creating with the universe itself.
Co-creating with the universe itself.
As I grow and evolve.
As I grow and evolve.
The universe itself expands and transforms.
The universe itself expands and transforms.
What joy.
What joy.
What grace.
What grace.
What delight.
What delight.
To embody my soul purpose.
To embody my soul purpose.
To be a pillar of light.
To be a pillar of light.
A pillar of healing.
A pillar of healing.
And that every conscious being I come in contact with.
And then every conscious being I come in contact with
is uplifted.
Is uplifted.
Is transformed.
Is transformed.
By me simply being me.
By simply being me.
I am the rainbow unique self.
I am the rainbow unique self.
And girl, I am fabulous.
And girl, I am fabulous.
All right, shake that out. Just looking deep into yourself.
Just a really deep knowing that as I evolve into my unique self, the world evolves also.
Beautiful. This coming to this apex, this peak of the pyramid, that's an evolution in enlightenment itself. It's it's the next stage, and that's sort of what Barbara Marx Hubbard, Teilhard de Chardin, and Aurobindo, and some of the rabbis of the Kabbalah, mystical rabbis, were teaching. It's about 250 years of coming to this new evolution. And the test that I always ask for, am I really in an apex voice, a unique voice, is can I sense myself opening into infinity, and yet can I absolutely be present in my bones and my breath at the same time? And that's just one of the most delightful sensations that I've ever encountered in my life, is to feel that paradox of both in the moment. And that's sort of, okay, now I'm here. Now, what are the other sensations that are layered on top of that of me being my unique self?
Mm-hmm.
Untethered by chronic fear or anxiety or, old complexes and behaviors of being. So I'd love to hear from those of you at home. You've been with me, with us, with Lori and I for 90 minutes, or 96 minutes. We've been tapping for well over an hour now. So if you've got anything to share about your experience, would love to hear it right now. And we'll wrap this part of our interview and our demonstration, bring it to a close. So, what else are you sensing? What else are you feeling, Lori?
Truly still marvel at the elegance and the swiftness of being able to acknowledge not all the voices, but key voices, so that we can move into this place of being and knowing, and that this is enlightenment. Being able to connect with the stillness of pure being, being able to connect with the Divine Mother, the Divine Father, unconditional love, that is enlightenment. And we have been trying to think it instead of feel it and experience it.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Raina, I believe, asked a question. She's just tapped for 90 minutes and was open as she could be to this. Am I the only one who has not experienced fully the Lutzbeam? And I'll say, Raina, my experience in doing it, usually we do this in large groups, actually. So I've been, with 100 people at a time. And usually in face-to-face, the whole room has an experience, a transmission of energy, and being present in a community. I do notice that in doing it on the internet, some people don't have the full experience, because in the face-to-face group, if a person is, if the controller or one of the other voices is protecting and keeping that leap to enlightenment, we can really dialogue and work with that voice to see if we can just get it to loosen up and let that shift happen, which is very difficult to do in a extended experience like this. So again, just appreciate you being here, and tapping with us and being open to it. And oftentimes, I would just say, you're going to have a replay of this. I would invite you again to come back tomorrow or a few days and tap through the process, knowing that the tapping starts about 30 minutes into the interview. And just see if maybe you have a different experience in a few days after the voices.
And just honoring whatever subtleties arise,
Yeah, and Joanne says, I am grateful for this joyful and expansive experience. Beautiful. Darlene is, once again, I am one. I'm so grateful for remembering. Thank you. It is possible to be whole, happy, and connected, to find real joy and to find my purpose. Absolutely. And that's the essence of this work. There are 7 billion conscious human beings, not to mention our animal friends. And winged friends and finned friends and insect friends that share the planet with us. And so that's at least 7+ billion unique souls that are looking for their soul purpose. And in 13.5 billion years in evolution of the universe, there's been no one exactly like you. And so, you have an incredible opportunity to spread those rainbow wings and be your unique self and be extraordinary. Rick asked about the link for the replay. It'll be automatically sent to you about 9 in the morning, I think, with the link to be able to watch this again. So I'd love to continue hearing from you guys. You've been sitting with us for a long time. And I do just want to say that, Lori promised a quick interview and a demonstration of Enlightened tapping. And so, we've honored that part of our commitment to you. And for those that are interested in actually going deeper into the work, I have an invitation for you. So if you don't mind, with your permission, I would like to invite you to go deeper. So if you'd enter in the chat, do I have your permission to actually, make you an invitation? And then we will open it up for Q&A at the end of that. Just take about 10 minutes. And
well, I know I'm excited about this because I've had the joy of experiencing what your invitation is, and it's very helpful to increase your practice with this. And you're a fabulous teacher. So
yeah.
Please, what is your invitation?
Okay, all right. Well, let me see if I can come up to there we go, right there. So give it just a second. There we go. So just take a few minutes here, and the invitation is the Enlightened Tapping Meditation Home Study course. Let's see if this will work. Technology again. Now, can you see my screen there? The beautiful.
I can, yes. Yeah.
There we go. So you can see that, okay? There we go. All right. So of course I've got to add a little humor to the process here. So it's what I do. But this is our dear friend Barbara Marx Hubbard, and after experiencing the work in her living room, and then she actually came to Houston, and we co-led an evening together on evolutionary consciousness, and she just says that the world needs massive tapping, massive enlightened tapping, for us to actually shift into and create the species-wide evolution to save our planet. So that was just a privilege to have that. And then, let's see. This is my good friend, Sheila Paxton from Boulder, Colorado. And this is one of the comments that I hear over and over and over again, is that I've tried transcendental meditation, I've tried mindfulness, I've tried Kundalini, I've tried so many different kinds of meditation. And and then none of them seemed to work to her to help her quiet the monkey mind. But the 20 minutes of enlightened tapping, and she was in the most still place that she's ever been in her life. And I hear that over and over and over again. So here, let me just tell you what the home study course is. It's a deep dive home study course. It includes 6 online modules. All of them go through the pyramid of consciousness that we did today. You get voices of the separate self, voices of the enlightened self, and you go to a facet of the unique self, the pyramid of consciousness. So you go through the entire process in every module. Each module is about an hour to 75 minutes long. The first one is sort of introducing you to the controller like we did today. Module 2, you meet the protector. Module number 3, you really meet the innocent child and the wounded self. And sort of those first 3 modules sort of focus on the separate self. And then in module number 4, we sort of then start doing a much deeper dive into some of the enlightened voices. We work with the Divine Father, or unborn moon of mind is another way to say that. The Divine Mother, the facets of the Divine Mother, the warrior priestess, the sword of compassion, unconditional love, and then the fully integrated Divine Mother. And then module number 6 is actually the 5 stages of enlightenment. It's a 75-minute process that takes you through all the levels of enlightenment, which is an extraordinary experience in and of itself. So in addition to the course, and that's our mutual friend there, Bonnie.
Yes, who I believe is on the call actually too, Bonnie.
Fabulous. Okay, wonderful. Well, we were all together in Boston earlier this year, and that was a picture. It's one of my favorite pictures of Boston. So, but you get 6 calls with me. So I actually will be walking you through and actually doing live tapping with you as an echo. So if you want to be an echo, you can raise your hand and you can participate and you can have the experience of me working with you one-on-one. You get a free ticket to Enlightened Tapping Meditation Experience. It'll be here in Houston, Texas, USA, January 22nd through the 24th. And I'm honored to say that actually the Tapping Solution Foundation and Project Light are our charity. We're going to be raising money in the room for the 3 days, and Lori and her magnificent work are the beneficiaries of that. So I'm so honored. So Lori will be here.
Yay!
In Houston for that. So there we go. Let's see. And then I'll get the hang of this eventually, I promise. This is what I'm most proud of with the meditation is, so the modules are really walking you through a 75-minute experience. But once you really learn the process, you can really do this in 5 or 10 minutes. You can be an enlightened voice. I always start with the controller to get permission and commitment, and then you can work with any of the voices of the separate self you want, but then you can really move to any of the enlightened voices. So in 10 minutes, you can be in these exalted states, and the more you do it, obviously, the more easy it becomes and the longer these states last. But we took, the major voices in the modules, and we just took the tapping part with it. So you get me guiding you through the tapping, and then we added 5 minutes of silent meditation at the end of that. So it's just the tapping and then stillness, so that you can really get a sense to let these voices resonate through you. And then in addition to that, we've done bonus calls. We just actually finished a 30-day Enlightened Tapping Challenge. And so we took some of the best tapping from those experiences and created, new little mini meditations for you. So that's a really powerful tool. You can download them to your smartphone, to your tablet, to your computer. You have them, including the whole course. You own that. You can download the whole thing. You get a physical copy of Body, Brain, Mastering Your 5 Vital Intelligences, which is my #1 best-selling book and won 2 Book of the Year awards. We'll actually mail that to you to wherever you are. We will mail, one of the best things about this group is the Facebook group, the Enlightened Tapping Facebook group. The energy in that group is on fire. It's just electric, the people that are using this process and having a transformation. Here's my triple guarantee. Obviously, if you invest in the program, it's 30 days, no questions asked, money back guarantee. And, that's just standard. Then, in addition to that, if for some reason you don't have in Enlightened experience, I will work with you one-on-one. I'll get on the phone with you for 15, 30 minutes and facilitate and just see if there's a way that we can work together. I want you to have this experience, and my experience is that 99% of the people that I work with one-on-one are able to shift and have an experience, and I'd like you to be one of them. So, I guarantee you'll have an Enlightened experience through the course, or you can have your money back, no questions asked. So, the investment is. For today, and in honor of Lori and her friendship, the investment's $197 for the whole study course. And there you have that. And I just wanted to make sure that you should be able to see a picture of the home study course there by chat, and a link to make that investment for yourself if you want it. Many of you on this call might know Margaret Lynch. She's one of the amazing tapping experts in the world, and she's been a longtime supporter and friend of Enlightened tapping and of my work. So here's her comment about the experience. And Joan Rancat, who's one of the top animal communicators in the world, have been meditating a long time. And the distinction that she makes about Enlightened tapping is the same one Barbara Marx Hubbard did. A lot of people talk about enlightenment. It's very few experiences that give you an enlightenment experience. So if you've got comments or questions about the course, I'm here for you to answer them. If you've got comments or questions about the Enlightened tapping process or about spiritual practice, I'm here for you. So, Lori, can you see the graphic there with the course and the link?
Yes, with the link. Is the link active, Alan?
It should be. Can you click on it and see what happens?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, you can see right here on the sharing the screen, you can go to enlightenedtappingmeditation.com/yes. You can also make the investment there. So, that's weird. It opened for me. It went to the order form right there for me. So, that's all I know to tell you, honey. Welcome to it.
Okay.
So there you go. So anybody have any questions that they want to ask us? Lori, anything you want to say?
Well, just how grateful I am, Alan, that you're so generous in sharing this. And I know that the people on the call obviously have been meditators and are excited about enlightenment. And I hope we'll be able to share some more of our work together, with my supporters in the future. And I'm excited to see you in Houston to kick off Enlightened tapping. And I just feel very strongly how powerful this work is. So we wouldn't be doing the call if I didn't.
Right. Well, we had the great pleasure of actually doing a weekend workshop together where we combined the grace process and Enlightened tapping. And I noticed that people that tend to gravitate towards me and my work are people that are lifelong spiritual learners. Many of my students are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And, they're a pretty sophisticated crowd. And we had Joe and Marion and Lydia, especially. Joe and Marion are in their 70s and Lydia's 85. And they came to our workshop together in Houston, and they just said it was the most extraordinary seminar that they'd ever been to in all of their years, because the combination of Lori and the space that she holds for grace and really coming into those places that still need love in our own awareness and in the world, and then combined with the tapping.
It was a powerful weekend. I think we, just the co-creation of it, we up-leveled the work for sure, being able to do it together.
Well, I just want to also tell everybody on the call, one of my fascinations, okay, so I had a love-hate relationship with meditation for years, because I couldn't get out of my monkey mind. That voice in my head was yammering constantly, critiquing, criticizing, judging, accommodating, and that's, we didn't even go into my personal history, but I was an IV drug user for many years, and it was just trying to get that voice in my head to shut up. Of course, methamphetamine was probably not the best drug of choice to quiet the mind, but I was able to eventually shift and learn to skillfully work with that voice in my head and hold it with a place of compassion. Because how do we take these temporary, amazing states that we just had together in this process and make them, so you've had a taste of your rainbow unique self. What would it be like to live in that high vibration of that voice every day? That was your center of gravity every day. You were open to the infinite, you were connected to the present moment, and you were so profoundly skillful in every choice that you make, and you were living a life of surrender and being able to trust the divine and the guidance that was revealed to you, that you could then with your whole heart take action. What kind of life would you be leading if that were your constant normal state of everything? So that's what I would just say. So any questions or comments? You guys have been so patient and so generous. You're still on the line with us. We're here for you. But we'd love to have you join us in the home study course. Next Thursday night, we're going to do a deep dive into amazing states to permanent traits. I'm going to really talk to you about what I found is that process. Okay, so now we can shift into enlightenment. Yay. But how do we make it a permanent trait? So we're going to do a deep oh, beautiful. So Raya was saying that she desires to work with the energy fields in other ways, such as with the chakras and weaving the whole energy field, especially when you were talking about weaving the field. Found it easier to connect with the earlier voices. Absolutely. And for a lot of you, it's the first time you've actually experienced parts work or the voice dialogue work yourself. So great. The more you work with the voices and the more you learn about them, it just becomes so rich and exciting. You want to say anything about that, Lori?
Well, as I said before, it was I think being able to identify those voices, giving them room and space and acknowledgement, hugely expands the process and allows for that stillness.
Beautiful. Okay, great. Well, it looks like no questions. Nice comments. Rhea says, thank you both for your energies, processes, and love. Thank you. Absolutely. I just want to say, Lori, thank you to you, my dear. It's been a privilege to be with you and share this work with your community, and just to have 90 minutes or a couple hours on a Friday afternoon. Fantastic. So thank you.
Anytime you want to play, you're welcome.
Well, I know.
You're welcome.
We've got January to look forward to. So fantastic.
Yes. Well, I just want to thank everybody for your time and your attention and your energy, and as always for your support in your hearts and your generosity in making Project Light a reality. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be sharing with you some very exciting things that are unfolding. So stay tuned. And thank you again, Alan. Wow.
Yeah, love you so much.
Love you too.